What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. And today I'm very happy to be joined by three incredible guests as we're going to be talking about Cobra Kai, which has come to an end. The franchise isn't over yet though, because we have Karate Kid Legends coming out in just a few months. With at least there's a little bit more Karate Kid in us to come, but Cobra Kai is over. And funny enough, I had, without knowing, invited on Rashad and Mike to join me for a stream. And then Mike hit me up saying, "Hey, do you want to do a stream on Saturday? I'm having Jason on." And I was like, he's like, "I'm having Rashad on too." I go, "Well, damn." And so then Mike was like, "You know what? Let's just combine the two streams into one day." So that's what we're doing here today.
Cobra Kai Miyagi-Do combined.
Yeah, there you go. Real quick. Sorry, my computer just popped up with something.
Yeah, just a heads up, man. My laptop could be a little retarded, so if I freeze and I have to get out and come back, I'm just warning you that there's a possibility that might happen.
Yeah, no worries. We'll keep that in mind. Always keep that kind of thing in mind with streaming. Right now, my computer popped up a little thing telling me to restart my computer. That is not happening right now. Anyway, a big thanks to everybody who's tuning in, whether you're watching this live or you're watching it after the fact. Today, I'm joined by Mike of Did You See That, Rashad G Reviews, and Jason, the Old Millennial. You guys can find the links to all of their channels down below in the description box, so go give them some love. And before we get into our thoughts on the final season of Cobra Kai, of course, that's what's the most relevant at the moment. I kind of wanted to use this stream as a way to talk about the series as a whole and get everybody's kind of introduction into it. I think for all of us, Karate Kid is something we grew up with. We'd seen the films as kids, but I don't think we really expected a sequel series to come out for Karate Kid all these years later. And not only that, I said it to my wife when we were watching the final few episodes, when the stakes are at the highest and the feels are at the absolute highest as well, that I never would have expected the Karate Kid movies to get not only a follow-up sequel series, but a follow-up sequel series that is so good, man. This has just been such a fun ride over the course of the chunks of years, from this show being a YouTube show to it eventually getting picked up by Netflix and the production going up, all the cameos, the connections to the movies. It's blown my mind. So yeah, Mike, I want to start with you. Can you talk a little bit about what your introduction to maybe also the Karate Kid franchise? Do you remember when you first started watching the Karate Kid franchise, and when did you first start watching Cobra Kai?
Yeah, so for me, watching Karate Kid for the first time was only maybe shortly before the Cobra Kai series started. And then as soon as the series started and I finished the first season, I was like, yeah, I need to go back and watch season 2 and Karate Kid 2 and 3, and then I watched the next Karate Kid, which I know some people don't acknowledge, but it's there, it's in the universe. And yeah, I think, kind of as we've discussed, kind of like offline and on certain streams in the past, and, this show has definitely just elevated that material that was originally given to us. And you go back now and you have that Karate Kid quadrilogy, and then you've got the Cobra Kai. You go back and you're like, wow, this just adds so much context to that original source material. It elevated, it makes you think, wow, this is actually a great movie because of what's going to come in the future. And then kind of going into Cobra Kai as every season goes on, I was right, sat down season premiere, I would binge every single episode. And I just love this show so much. And I think wrapping up the finale, as you said, Perez, the last few episodes, I was like, wow, I can't believe this is coming to an end. And I, in a way, kind of hesitant to press play on the next episode, because I'm like, once I do, that's it. I'm not seeing this for the first time ever again. So it's been a wild ride for sure.
That's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's interesting to hear about when you first watched them, since you're famous for not having seen certain things. So it's nice that this show was able to kind of introduce you into the Karate Kid franchise proper. Rashad, I don't take this as shade, bro, but you've probably been a Karate Kid fan longer than all of us. So can you tell us a little bit about what it was like falling in love with the franchise as a kid? I think that you have that benefit over us, is that you watched these as a kid. Like, this came out in your youth. And so what was it like watching Karate Kid back then and all these years later having a series as good as Cobra Kai following it up?
All right, before I address that, Mike, what you laughing at, man? Why you laughing? What you laughing at, man?
He's secretly saying you're old as the hills.
Well, you know what? That's why I had to smile. So, okay, he's choosing his words carefully, okay? Because before he would straight up diss me and be like, yeah, Rashad, you're a little bit older than us. And, you ain't got to remind me, okay? I know I'm old. Keep living. All right, keep living, goddammit. One day you're gonna get old too. So, when I say I'm a day one, I'm a day one, day one. 5 years old, Pop's coming home from the video store, the mom and pop video store. Blockbuster wasn't even a thing yet. Comes home with the tape, The Karate Kid. I'm thinking it's like a Shaw Brothers Kung Fu joint. I'm like, The Karate Kid? What the hell is this? Watched it, and to this day, one of the best movie experiences I ever had, man. One of the best, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it was. And by the end, I felt like I could take on the world. I took on my first bully a couple of days after I watched the movie, got my ass kicked, but I stood up to him. You know what I'm saying? And so from there, I've been a lifelong fan. Love the second movie. As bad as the third movie is, there was a time as a 9-year-old kid when they came on HBO on repeat, I watched it every time it came on HBO. All right, so I was a fan of the third movie. We don't talk about next Karate Kid. So now, fast forward, I'm an old man with gray hair on my balls now, and then YouTube announces, "Hey, we're gonna release a series on YouTube called Cobra Kai." I'm like, Cobra Kai? What the hell? Saw the trailer, had to watch it. So from day one, I got the 30-day trial subscription for YouTube Red. Watched the whole first season. Called everybody I know. I probably even hit you up. I don't remember. But I hit up everybody I know. Hey, man, you got to watch this series. If you like The Karate Kid, you love this series. Q, Black Tag, I hit everybody up. My brother, only one I couldn't convert was my pops. My pops wasn't having it. And the sad thing about it was he was the one that put me onto The Karate Kid. I said, Pop, you got to watch the Cobra Kai. He said, son, been there, done that, man. I don't want to watch that shit. I said, but it's told from the perspective of Johnny. Oh, Johnny was an asshole. I don't care about Johnny. Story. So this show to me is special because I watched it from the beginning. I never expected it to blow up the way it did. I thought it was going to be like just a cult thing where just fans of the movies were going to like it. And now it's like this global phenomenon. Like I was wearing my Cobra Kai shirt just the other day doing DoorDash. And I swear like at least 4 or 5 people saw me. It was like, Cobra Kai never dies. I'm like, yeah, damn, people love this shit. Love it, man. So it was bittersweet to see it come to an end. I ain't gonna lie, I shed some tears, you know what I'm saying? Tears of just not only the emotion what the show brought, but also tears of, like Mike said, like this is it. This is the end of the ride as far as Johnny's story go. Like we're gonna get more Karate Kid stuff in the future, and I'm sure it's gonna be good, but this show just hit differently, man. It just hit different. It hit me in the feels, and I'm gonna miss the shit out of it. So that's that in a nutshell. I didn't mean to ramble for a long
No,
time.
you're good, man. No, I love hearing about it, man. I love hearing about that passion. I can only imagine, dude. You know, I think with a lot of things, you know, we all have those franchises that like it's either like you're afraid that they're not gonna do a good job, or you like if they nail it, you're just like, oh, you just feel so good. You know, it's like there's so many like that nowadays, right? There's a lot of franchises that are long running, but it's great that the Cobra Kai franchise or Karate Kid franchise was able to have some stinkers in the movie world, and a TV show was able to really elevate it. And you know, we've seen other shows kind of take from that with something like even like the Chucky TV show. For anybody who's watched that, like that show takes even some of the worst Chucky movies and brings characters back and does the flashbacks to the movies the same way and makes it feel like this big cohesive universe that really like honors what's come before. So Jason,
I mean, well, real quick, this is the blueprint, man. Cobra Kai is the blueprint on how you take a legacy franchise and elevate it, you know, pay homage and yet take it to another level, man. So if anybody else want to copy that, that's the blueprint. That's how you do it. But continue.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think I tagged the two. I know Mike and Rashad, I tagged you guys in that the creators of Cobra Kai would love to do a sequel, follow-up series of Back to the Future. And honestly, if they're able to nail it on the same level of quality, I'm in, bro. Yeah, I'm in. I don't know that they would be able to. I don't know that we need it, but I would definitely be in. And I'm gonna ask you your thoughts about that a little bit later, Mike. But Jason, let's hear about you. Did you grow up with the Karate Kid movies, and when did you first watch Cobra Kai?
Yeah, so I'm somewhat like Rashad. I'm the second oldest one here. So I grew up on Karate Kid, and I'm not that much. I don't think I'm not that much younger.
Yeah, but don't you have to acknowledge it, Jason?
Well, usually I'm the oldest one on the group. Like first time for me, like I'm not the oldest one. Seriously, like I'm always doing streams with 20-year-olds. Like, Jesus. I saw this, when I was pretty young. This came out in the 80s. I was too young to see him in the theater, but I must have had like a copy of it or something because I watched Karate Kid 1 and 2. Those two movies are my Karate Kids, and I watched those two movies nonstop as a kid. Absolutely loved it. Huge fan of Karate Kid. Huge fan of Mr. Miyagi. I think is one of the greatest characters ever in cinema. And you know, I was thinking like I loved it as a kid. I think because I loved anything karate, martial arts. Like if I was watching TV and two people were fighting, like I'm watching this now. It's like I'm not turning the channel. I'm gonna watch and see what happens. That was just me as a kid. I love action movies, and I think that's what I loved about Karate Kid. And then as I got older, I appreciated it more because of the Mr. Miyagi stuff of like his whole background with his family, and you know, and that whole scene where he's drunk and he's, you know, because of his storyline of, you know, that's what really got me when I got older. And I thought, wow, this is a really good story. I thought of it just as an action movie as a kid, but then as an adult, I'm like, man, this is just a really well told story of, you know, Daniel needs a father, Mr. Miyagi needs a son. They connect that way. I don't know. That's why I saw it as I got older. And yeah, I never would have thought, yeah, taking Johnny Lawrence, a really terrible villain character, really terrible bully, and making a redemption arc of this character in a TV show. Never would have thought that would work. And I remember when, it came on YouTube, which is so crazy to think back. It wasn't originally a Netflix show. It was a YouTube show. And I don't know if YouTube's ever done anything like that since. That was like a new thing for YouTube at the time. And yeah, when I first saw that they were doing it, I was confused. I'm like, what are they doing? How can they do this? And it was on YouTube, whatever. You had to pay, I think, to watch it. So I didn't do that. So I was like, well, I'm not going to watch it unless it's, you know, for free or whatever, or it's on a streaming that I'm already getting. Anyway, so then when they moved to Netflix, and I heard a lot of good reviews, it was one of those things where I'm like, I'm hearing so much good word of mouth on the show, more than I expected. Like, I didn't think it was going to be anything, to be honest. I didn't have any high expectations for the show. And then I heard so much good stuff. And then when I started, so I feel like it was already at least 2 or 3 seasons into the show when I first started watching it on Netflix. And yeah, I was blown away. I love the story, and we'll get more into that here. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. And just like everybody else, just got caught on. And what a cool idea. I don't think it's ever done before. And can we do it again? Like you said, I thought today, like, can we get a Biff Tanner redemption story arc? Is that possible? I would go for it. You get Tom Wilson. Yeah. Can we get a Bolo Chun-Li redemption story arc? Or, I don't know.
Wow.
It opens up possibilities for sure.
That's awesome, man. No, love hearing all of your guys' stories on how this kind of franchise, like what it meant to you at different times and how it all kind of fell into our laps. For me, you know, I'd seen the Karate Kid movies as a kid a billion times, like just on TV or just renting them from Blockbuster. Like they were just movies I'd seen so many times. And I always loved them long before my brain had really developed a critical eye for things. And I really didn't, you know, it was just kind of like Jason was saying, some people were kicking ass and I'm in, dude. Like, so there was that vibe to it when I was a kid. And then I remember that the show came out on YouTube, and similar to Jason, I was kind of like, you know, I'm not going to pay for this YouTube Red thing to watch it, whatever. I thought it was just going to be like kind of like a little fun fan film kind of feeling thing that just had the original star in it, you know, or the original stars. And yeah, it wasn't until season 2 came out, and then my dad had watched it, who, you know, grew up with these movies and loved Karate Kid, loved Ralph Macchio. And he was telling me, he's like, you need to watch the show. And I think it was when season 3 premiered that like the buzz around it was so big that my wife and I decided to rewatch all the Karate Kid films. I think I knew I had already seen them all. I don't know if she had seen all of them. I can't remember. I think she maybe hadn't seen like the 3rd or 4th one. And, you know, it was a hit or miss kind of franchise for me overall. We did the rewatch. Loved the first one. It's a classic film. I think the 2nd and 3rd and 4th Karate Kid are not good movies, in my opinion. I don't think that they're good. I think they're fun. I think there's good stuff in them, but I don't think they're great. And I honestly like the remake more than most of the sequels. And so then Cobra Kai starts up. Rashad wants to fight me. then Cobra Kai starts up, and it
See,
was.
you see that shit froze my goddamn computer. Now I gotta get out and get it back in again. See what you did? You see what the fuck you done did?
It was all that eye rolling. The camera couldn't keep up.
God. Now I'll be back, man. This fucking thing.
Anyway, so yeah, you know, it meant a lot to start watching the show and find myself more and more in love with these characters and the story, how it's connecting to the overarching narrative from the movies, the way they were able to bring these cameos in and elevate the material, like Mike was saying earlier. Like, it really makes those movies better in retrospect. So I have a better view of the second and third film now. Those things that I can poke fun at from the second and third film feel more impactful now than they did before. And I love that Rashad is just there, stuck, smiling right now. But yeah, all in all, it seems like, you know, we all kind of eventually found Cobra Kai in just the right time to be able to watch the remaining seasons as they started to come out. And it's been a fun journey. Did Rashad leave? Rashad, are you out?
I think he probably had to leave.
It's still on my screen. I don't know about you.
Okay,
Oh,
he just disappeared. Okay, yeah. Anyway, we'll keep the ball rolling. I'm sure Rashad will be here soon. Mike, so let's get into the final season, man. What did you think about the final season? It was released in 3 parts, which made each part kind of feel pretty far apart from one another. I think it almost took like 8 or 9 months to get the whole, maybe 7 months. I don't know. I would have to look, but it took quite a chunk of months to get the entire season.
Right.
Firstly, before you get into your thoughts, so I do want to hear quickly your thoughts on the idea that the creators would love to do a Back to the Future sequel series. Do you feel like you have enough faith in them now to do that, or do you just not want that to be the case still?
yeah. So, you know, for me, for the longest time growing up and loving Back to the Future, especially in my teenage years, I was like, I never want to see anything Back to the Future ever again. You know, like the trilogy's perfect, leave it as it is. But then, you know, along came the musical, which I've been fortunate to see a few times, and the musical's great. I really, really love it. Now, the thing is, I was talking to Emma about it, and she actually brought up what Jason said, like it may be like a Biff Tannen prequel series to show like his upbringing, like how did he get to being this, you know, person everyone hates, you know. But at the same time, you could maybe do a sequel series, because Doc Brown, you know, Christopher Lloyd said he would come back and do another Back to the Future, but only if Michael J. Fox was involved. But, you know, I've said before, Michael J. Fox could be like an uncle now. He could be a granddad to his son, right? Cobra Kai showing that, you know, Ralph Macchio's daughter, I know we're not a fan of Sam LaRusso, but, you know, like, you could still have that. Or Johnny Lawrence has Robbie, for example, or like Miguel, who's like a son to him. So with the right casting, I think it could be done. And, man, I'm open to Back to the Future. Whether they want to make a fourth, whether they want to make a sequel, a prequel series, I'm honestly all for it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I had to get your thoughts on that when I saw that was something that they wanted to do. But Rashad, right before you left, we were just saying that we're going to get into the final season now with the 3 parts and how they released it. So yeah, Mike, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the final season as an overall, and did you like the release window element? Did you think they should have just dropped the whole season, or do you think the 3-part season drop was a good idea?
I think the 3-part was a good idea because, you know, nowadays with how much content we got on TVs and movies and cinemas that we all know, you know, that's what we cover on our channels a lot. It's just so easy to have something you watch. It's digestible and then it's gone from your mind. You don't think about it ever again. Whereas when Cobra Kai released in the parts, like we've done streams, right, where we've been like, right, part 1, we really enjoyed this. Okay, what's happening next? And part 2, and now we're here for the final of it. So I like the release window. I think it was really well strategized. And of course, aligns with a few months' time and we get Karate Kid Legends as well. So it kind of makes sense as well. The overall season, I mean, man, season 6 was great. I think they have expanded on so many characters. The ending gave all of our characters like a satisfying conclusion. We all know where they are. We don't have questions to be like, you know, like, right, where's Robbie ending up? Where's Miguel going to end up? We already know where they're going. So I felt like it was a really good, satisfying wrap up. I mean, also, like, how the hell did they have a Kreese redemption arc after all this time? You know, the ultimate villain in like movie history, right? And they give him a redemption arc where the guy brings me to tears. Yes. And I'm like, wow, like if he can be redeemed, Biff Tannen can be redeemed at this point, right? You know, Like it was just honestly really, really great, and the wrap up as well. I thought was really well done. I'll leave it brief for now, as we'll touch on later.
That's awesome, man. No, yeah, I think I'll just chime in here just to say for myself, I agree with that, man. You know, you guys know, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but the middle portion of the season, I talked to Rashad and Mike about. I wasn't crazy about. I thought there were some great moments with the Sekai Taikai. All that was epic. All the karate stuff, amazing. All the tension on that element of things, exactly what I came to the show for. I just thought that the middle part of the season gave us a little bit of the stuff we've seen a million times. You know, freaking Johnny and Danny hating each other, falling out to fall back in. Robbie and Miguel hating each other, falling out to fall back in. Tori and Sam hating each other, falling out to fall back. It's like, bro, we've done this already 17 times in the series. So that the middle section of the show for me was a little bit of just like, it just felt like it meandered. Whereas the first chunk, as they're getting set up for the Sekai Taikai, awesome. And then these last few episodes were just epic. And the way it ties back in to the first season so well, it feels like you really leave off where the first season started, but with so much that's happened in between to really give it this layer of depth. I think my only gripe that I would have liked to have seen in the season was, honestly, I would have loved to have seen Hilary Swank appear. I know that we don't love that movie here. I mean, but I would think it would have just made for. She's a great actress. I think her character deserves some redeeming qualities too, and it really would have brought those Miyagi films, like, I think, perfectly together with this. And then my last thing was, I can't remember almost the name of the girl at this point, but there was that like kind of like nerdier, chunkier girl in the first season or two that was like a big part of Cobra Kai, like one of the first students. And I was hoping as we got to the end that maybe they would throw her back in, but they just never did. And she was such an integral part to the beginning that she was the only thing that I felt was missing. But man, when I say those are minor gripes, even with how I felt about the middle of the season, seeing the whole picture, they nailed it, man. This was an incredible season. So Rashad, what about you, man? What did you think about the final season of the show?
Started out kind of, you know, even as a fan, it started out kind of, okay, this is not the best Cobra Kai we've gotten, but you know what? I gave you shit for your criticism on the second part of it, but you know, I understand it because there were things in that second part that they was kind of unnecessary that we could have did without, you know. But when you get to the Sekai Taikai stuff, like you said, that was the best stuff for part two. But I like how they did break it up into 3 parts because there was just so much to unpack and just so much emotional weight that if you would have released it all at one time, I would have had like nothing left. You know, by episode 10, I'd need to take like a 2-week break, you know, from all the emotion, you know what I'm saying? So I did like how they broke everything up. Now, as far as the Hilary Swank thing, yeah, I did hate the next Karate Kid, but I thought they were going to bring her in as well because if you remember, I forgot who Dane was talking to, but he was saying how he was Miyagi's only student, you know, and of course, if you see the movies, you know that he's not his only student, so that's why I thought she was going to come in, but I guess she'll probably come in the movie, you know, Legends, so we might see her in there. I don't know. And Aisha, that's the girl you're talking about, the one
right.
But I wish we could have saw her one last time, but her character arc did kind of wrap up when her and Sam had that last conversation when Sam went to her house. And, you know, she kind of gave Sam that pep talk like, hey, you know, even though I'm no longer in Cobra Kai, but Cobra Kai gave me everything to make me the person that I am now. Like now I'm confident. I can talk to people now. I'm not this shy, nerdy girl that I used to be. So, you know, it helped me. So that kind of wrapped up her story. But yeah, man, this whole season I thought just wrapped up perfectly. And I was nervous because most great shows end terribly. I love The Sopranos. It's on my Mount Rushmore, but Sopranos ended terribly. Game of Thrones is on its way to being the best show of all time. The last episode, I was laughing my ass off by how bad it was. Walking Dead, I think I checked out after the 7th season. You know what I'm saying? So, and Dexter was another one.
Yeah.
That was great. And then it just dropped the ball. So the fact that Cobra Kai ended the way it did, I was like, thank you. Because if it ended bad, man, I was going to lose my shit. I wouldn't even be here on this live stream right now talking to y'all about this, man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, perfect. A+.
That's
fucking
awesome,
chef's
man.
kiss, man. Loved it.
That's awesome. And yeah, Aisha, I couldn't remember her name, but yeah, you know, I do agree that I think that they brought her story to a close, but I do think they could have done They could have done so with how much they brought back from that first season and the way that they really like the fact that it felt like season 1 again in those last 2 or 3 episodes, but like everything that's happened just changes the context of it. I feel like that was one of the only things that was missing, but I mean, missing in a near perfect, if not perfect, ending. Those last few episodes were just perfection. Jason, what about you? How did you feel about the final season?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everybody. I kind of like the three 5 episodes have their own 5-episode arc to it. I thought it worked pretty good. I do love the fact that we got 15 episodes, and because I watch so much stuff on Disney that gets like 6 episodes in a season, and you feel like you don't have enough episodes, or 8 episodes at most. You might get 8 episodes in a season. And this definitely needs 15 episodes, I think, to bring closure to the whole series since it's a finale. Like I said, the first 5 was like we're getting ready for the Sakai tournament. So the first 5 is like, all right, we're just preparing for the Sakai tournament. So that was kind of cool, left on that kind of cliffhanger, like, all right, I'm ready for the Sakai tournament. And then the second, you get the Sakai tournament, but then it ends on a cool cliffhanger into that, where you're like, what's going to happen? I don't know. Are we done with the Sakai tournament? And then that third 5 did bring a lot of closure to all the storylines really well, I think. And what makes the show so great is that I feel like they definitely were thinking of the fans, and they definitely were like, and I know the creators, they say they're fans themselves. And if that's true, that definitely helps. I think if you say, I'm just a fan of Karate Kid and I want the best, story, and yeah, so I think they were like doing the show to serve the fans, and I think they did a good job. And I don't feel like we get enough of that maybe out there today, which Rashad was talking about, all these different shows. They were trying to do something different and it didn't work. And it's like, don't do something different. Just do the right thing, make a great happy ending, and please the fans. That's all you need, and we'll love it, and we'll keep buying the stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah, can I piggyback off of that? Yeah, they're definitely fans, and it shows because like all the little details, even like the little subtle details, you're like, that's from the first movie. Oh, that's a line from like just little shit. Like you could tell that they had love for this, and as predictable as it was, and I think we can all agree, those last 5 episodes, well, at least me, I predicted about 95% of what happened in those last 5 episodes. I'm not even exaggerating, 95%. And I wasn't even mad at that because I'm like, okay, if I'd have wrote this myself, that's how I would have wrote it. So it played out exactly how I wanted it, the way I wanted it. So I was satisfied, even though I'm like, okay, I know that's going to happen, but I'm happy. I love it. That's how it's supposed to go. You know? Yeah. Don't try to be too damn different and then fuck the fans over because they're fans themselves. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was perfect.
I mean, to give you an example, Anthony, you'll probably agree with me on this. Mandalorian season 1 and 2 were so good because Jon Favreau was a big Star Wars fan, and you could see it in all of his interviews and everything he did. And what they did with the Luke Skywalker character was so great, and that's what made Mandalorian so good, is because they were serving the fans. And again, we need more of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was just thinking that to myself, that like I don't mind when a franchise goes a different direction. By the way, Mike, really quickly, I noticed there's an echo coming. You probably noticed I muted you at one point. I was testing it just quickly. There's an echo when Rashad. I don't know if it's happening with me too. When Rashad and Jason are speaking, it's coming from your end. I don't know why, but I just thought I'd let you know. But
let me leave and I'll come back.
Yeah, fine, no worries, man. But yeah, I think with a lot of franchises, sometimes that the element of fan service is absolutely necessary. Some franchises do it too much, and I think every here and there it's nice to bring in a director or writer who's going to kind of, flip things on his head or give something that the fans don't think that they want, and then it ends up being something that the fans actually wanted. But sometimes some franchises, they're swinging for the fences too much to be different, and it does divide the fan bases. Star Wars being a really great example of that. But when you look at the ones like the first 2 episodes of the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, or even like I don't know if you've seen it, Jason. I know Rashad has, but if you watch like the Clone Wars or Rebels or Ahsoka, Dave Filoni is such a fan of George Lucas that he did everything he could to really honor the Star Wars that came before, and it feels like it feels good when you watch some of those sequences. It's some of the best Star Wars ever put to screen because of the fan service element of it, So yeah, it's just one of those things where I think like having fans behind the camera and in the writing room really does elevate the material on a level that's incredible. And as we've all been kind of saying, it's like just some of the ways that they were able to bring things together. Because the kind of what Rashad said is like, you don't have to like reinvent the wheel with it. You know, I think sometimes familiar, predictable is okay. It's all in the execution. So it's like in those last few episodes, you see where things are going, especially with all the, you know, visual parallels to the original film. You know, there's so many that they're specifically doing in the end. You know, Robbie getting his leg messed up. Like I leaned over to my wife. I go, oh, he's gonna go for Robbie's leg. You know, like, and that's exactly what happens. You know, like I've even seen videos already on Instagram and on other sites of like just like some of those scenes parallel put back to back, and it's like that they did such a great job of honoring what's coming before, and then just with the character of Johnny. I mean, William Zabka like should win an award for that hallway scene with Kreese. That was probably like the performance of his life, I think, right there. I just overall I thought that the entire experience was just so it just felt good. It just felt good to watch. Those last few episodes just left you on a high. I was sad every time an episode ended, but this episodes were built in a way to hype you up at the beginning, give you the meat in the middle, and then have you hyped up at the end. So it was like impossible to not want to click the next episode. So I'm going back to what Mike was saying earlier, that feeling of like, oh, I don't want this to end.
Yeah.
This is going to be the end. But it's like the show also leaves you in a place where you're like, I can't not click to the next episode after what I just saw. And the way that they timed that Cobra Kai music to play in certain sequences to just get your hype up like even higher, it's just incredible.
Did anybody else cry? Did anybody else cry at that Kreese Johnny scene?
Yeah,
I got teary eyed. I won't say that the tears dropped heavily, but I definitely got emotional.
I was a water bag, yo. I was a water bag. You know, quick funny story. My son's sitting next to me. My daughter's sitting in the other seat. My daughter has like piss and vinegar in her veins the older she gets because she feels nothing. You know, like a bomb can go off and she could be like, "Oh, bomb, okay." That's my daughter. So when that scene's happening and when Johnny broke down and said, "You threw me away like trash," I took my glasses off and wiping my eyes. My son looks over and my son says, and he gets out of his chair, jumps in my lap, he gets in my face. He's like, "Are you really crying?" I said, "Yeah, man, get off me." Damn, I said, I can't have my moment. Leave me alone. And he goes over to his sister, Renaya, Dad's crying. I'm like, yo, y'all ain't shit, man. Y'all don't understand the emotional weight of this show.
40 some years.
Yeah, but my kids are cold, man. And to this day, they still talk about it. Hey, remember you cried when Johnny and Chris? I said, yes, I remember I cried. All right. Thank you. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's an incredible scene. William Zabka was incredible there. Martin Kove as well. Yeah, the cast showed up to play, man. And even seeing, you know, the character of Danny have these moments that had him a little bit more, you know, he was pulling a little bit. What's that you said?
Less annoying, Daniel being less annoying.
I love that there was like, number one, I love that he had like the parallel of him training like Johnny the same way that he was trained. I thought that was great. But also then to in the end pull out a little Johnny, you know, to after everything that's happened, you know, like he pulled out Johnny's energy, you know, to tell him to stop being a pussy. Like I just thought that was so good.
Yeah.
Like, the way that it brought all of those beats full circle. When you think about season 1 from Cobra Kai being built up from the first time with all that anger and that resentment and that hatred coming from Johnny Lawrence, and to have, you know, Danny be, you know, mortified to see Cobra Kai returns at the Valley, then to see the two of them really come together in the end. It made me forgive a lot of the ups and downs with them that felt redundant over the series. Yeah. It made me just feel really fulfilled as a viewer of the show and the story that we were following there. And yeah, just without a doubt, just a really great wrap up on that level. And I would say for me that Johnny is the MVP of the season, MVP of the show, for sure. While we wait for Mike to come back, Jason, I'll throw it over to you this time. The thoughts on who your favorite character was this season? What character dynamic did you enjoy the most in this final season?
Yeah, because at the first, I remember I think me, Rashad, and Mike maybe talked beforehand on Cobra Kai. I can't remember now. But I think at that time I said my favorite character was Tori was my favorite character. And she had the best character arc with the mom dying, and she gave some great performances. And that was like the first 5 episodes, I guess. She gave, I thought, the best performance of the show. And then this last 5 episodes, I was like, no, Johnny took it back. I was like, Tori's MVP, and then Johnny took it back with that. That one scene, I would say he took. I when he did that scene with Kreese, I was like, okay, this is the Johnny show. This is William Zabka's. This is his, character's redemption arc. This whole show, he's definitely the star of the show, and why the show is so good. And I didn't know he had it in him. I was like, wow, that was a good performance. And just say, that scene, because what I loved about that scene, it's my favorite scene of the whole show, is that when Kreese is walking away and he says, "I loved you, man," and Kreese stops and the camera's right in front of his face. Oh my gosh, chills. It's like, oh my God. Because when you say you love somebody, I know it's a big deal. And so when he says, "I loved you, man," he's like, and then he turned around and then he did that whole scene. And then he said, and then he calls him son. That was the other part that I was bawling because I was like, oh my gosh, he called him son. He said, like, "I'm sorry, son. I wish I could make it up to you." It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know Kreese had that in him. And
both of them, both of them.
Okay, I now Kreese has the redemption arc I didn't know I needed. They both redeemed themselves so much. I mean, Kreese in that scene, I think, redeemed his character, which I was really, did not expect. And then Johnny redeemed his character already, but that was just a great closure to that. Because it goes back to Karate Kid, kind of Karate Kid 2 at the beginning of that movie, which is a scene I think that was supposed to be in the end of Karate Kid 1, but they put it in Karate Kid 2.
I heard that.
Where he puts him in the chokehold, and to go from that to that scene, it's like, wow, what an incredible, arc for those two characters, and the journey and the forgiveness is so beautiful, I think. But I guess I don't know if I'm answering your question, but Johnny.
Those are great points, man.
Well, and just the way he became a kid again, also, man. Like when he is like just this body language, the way he just kind of hovered, and he was like 17, and then the way Kreese reached out to him kind of awkwardly, like you could tell Kreese never hugged anybody in his life, and the way he reached out to him and hugged him, it was, I don't know, just the little shit like that. I'm like, damn, this is perfect, because he was like a son. Johnny was the son he never had, and Kreese was the father that Johnny never had. He's like, everything I did was to impress you. Yeah. So when you abandoned me like that fucked me up forever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think I will not be surprised if we hear like William Zabka maybe like, I don't know if they'll count this a 2024 show because it started in 2024 this season, but the season just came out in 2025. I'd be curious to see if the Emmys, right? Would be the TV. If they nominate him at all, because I thought that his performance in the show definitely deserved it, and in that last season in particular, because I think one thing too is going back to the familiarity. You expected the Johnny Lawrence redemption because it's already been doing that. He's already been redeemed on the show, but you expected the show to really give him his flowers in the end. But for it to be done so well, and to also have Kreese get that redemption arc as well, just really, it's got to be one of the best scenes in any of Cobra Kai or any of Karate Kid scenes altogether. So, that was a great one. Mike, while you were gone, I only asked Jason so far. I'm going to ask Rashad as well, but we were talking about maybe who you thought the MVP character was in the season as we got to the end, and it appears me and Jason both feel it was definitely Johnny. Rashad, I'll throw it over to you this time. MVP character or element in the show for you last season?
Yeah, well, they had to bring it back because I think for a while, I think even the writers forgot whose show this was. This was originally Johnny's point of view, you know what I'm saying? And so from season to season, we've had different twists and turns. And okay, Cobra Kai is no longer Johnny's. He starts Eagle Fang, then he goes to Miyagi-Do, and so they had to bring it back. Okay, let's rewind to here. This is Johnny's show. This is called Cobra Kai. Even bringing Miguel and Tori back, seeing Miguel in that Cobra Kai gi again, and even with that, it's like, okay, Miguel he's the Karate Kid. He is the reincarnation of the Karate Kid. He even looks like Ralph Macchio. That's why they cast him. So as much as Robbie grew on me as a character, you know, 'cause I used to hate Michael. Tell you, I used to hate Robbie. Robbie was like, I just wanted to snuff him. But after season 4, I liked him as a character. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is Johnny's show. Miguel is the Karate Kid. You know, the whole thing started with Miguel and Johnny, sensei, student, father, son, and that's how it ended. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, Johnny for sure, without a question. And I love all these characters. You know what I'm saying? Well, majority of them. But yeah, this is Johnny's show, and to give him his due at the end, where now he's not the best in the valley, he's not the best in town, he's the best in the world. All right. Yeah. All right, just to quote your boy from Friday, he's the best in the world, Craig. Okay, he's the best in the world now. So that shit brought me to tears seeing that. You know, and for Daniel to hand him the trophy, just like Johnny handed him the trophy in the first movie, like, you're all right, LaRusso, good match.
Yeah.
Now Johnny gets it. You know what I mean? So yeah, Johnny all the way for sure.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. What about you, Mike? Who do you think the MVP was in the final season?
Yeah, you know, I've got to agree with you guys. Definitely Johnny for sure. I like the fact that, as Rashad touched on, like, they brought it back to basics. It's back to him. He's the center of attention. It's all about him. It's his show. But I think it also goes to implicate the fact that with John, for example, right, like that touching moment we've been speaking on in the hallway, it goes to show and touch back to that first opening shot of Cobra Kai when we see Johnny on the bed. He's drunk. He's like a loser, right? All these years later. And it goes to show like what effect it's had on him in that teenage years, that pivotal moment at the All Valley, and the downward spiral he had of not having a supportive father with Sid, for example. And then he relied on Kreese being a father, but then he humiliated him in the parking lot, right? So at that point, Johnny's life just came crashing down and has been like that for 30 odd years. So I think now to have that redemption and see him rise from the ashes, I guess you could say, I know it's kind of cringy, but kind of like from the ashes, right, up to like the pivotal, as Rashad said, he's the best in the world right now. It's like more than just his lifelong dream of winning in All Valleys. Now, you know, the world champion of the Sekai Takai. So yeah, I think Williams Zabka. Yeah, I think like we discussed earlier in like the season stuff. You know, like Peyton List had a standout moment, you know, as Tory, but then you know Williams Zabka gets that standout moment and just shows his acting range. You know, like if he can do a performance like that in that one scene in the hallway, like I would love to see him in the full feature movie, like a serious arc, you know, a serious character, whatever he does next.
Facts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was thinking that. I'm like, man, I really wonder if this is gonna be like just William Zabka's like legacy moving forward. It's just this show, you know, or is it gonna be one of those things where it's like he was brought back for this and now he just kind of like vanishes, or are we gonna maybe start seeing like a resurgence of him in other things? Because I think he's an actor who definitely deserves to be in more things. I think that he's certainly like a character I'd love to see more, or an actor I'd love to see more. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys about things that you wish you would have seen a little bit more of in this final season. For me, I'll just say, I think for the most part, my biggest gripes, like I mentioned before, were that some of the redundancies of this character dynamics that we got in the middle part of the show, but that's pretty quickly resolved in the grand scheme of things. And you don't really have that much going on in the later part of the show. But I think, though, that with the show having so much focus on so many of these other characters earlier in the season, I was a little surprised in the final few episodes for characters like Hawk, or like even Devin to kind of just get sidelined. I feel like they really had nothing to do in the last 5 or 6 episodes. Right. They were there, they had a couple lines of dialogue, they were there for the celebration. But if you were to watch these, you know, and I haven't done it yet, but I would imagine if you watch this whole season back to back to back from the beginning to end with, you know, the preparation for the Sekai Taikai at the start, the middle section with, you know, all the kids and like everybody kind of has stuff going on drama wise, and then the final part of the show, it felt like, yeah, some of those characters that were integral in the first part, you know, even Kenny Payne and all, you know, I think that's his name, yeah, these characters didn't have much to do in the final few episodes, which was a gripe I had. I was thinking to myself, oh, like, where are all these characters? You know, it went back to Johnny, I went back to Danny, went back to Miguel, went back to Robbie, to Tori, Sam, which is fine because those are like the core characters. But I do wish we had a little bit more for those side characters in those final few episodes with how integral they were in the beginning. Mike, we'll start with you this time first, since you were dealing with all the audio issues and stuff like that, and you're popping in and out. What was something that you would have liked to have seen in the season that you feel was a little bit undercut or maybe not utilized at all?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think some of the character arcs towards the end was a little bit just snap, fast pace as well. I felt like Dimitri's girlfriend, Jasmine, kind of just came out like nowhere. And it was like, oh, I forgive you now, right? Let's just go get it on in the bathroom. and I mean, I don't think any of us would be like, nah, you were good. We'd be like, okay, I'm coming,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would. But I just feel like that kind of came out of nowhere. There wasn't like a quick 1 minute scene, Dimitri looking at his phone, being like, oh, I got a text from Jasmine. She's coming to the All Valley or something, just to explain why she's there, etc. So yeah, I think there was a few moments like that. For me, one of the key points I took away from that ending part was the whole Mr. Miyagi storyline in this season.
Yeah.
Like we talked a lot about it and kind of in past recaps about Daniel crying and losing his temper every time when it comes to Miyagi, and he goes off the rails whenever his name's mentioned.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he kind of became like cool and suave the last 4 episodes. And then they kind of wrap up the Miyagi story part with like one kind of sentence of dialogue and the AI use of Miyagi, which I'll be curious to hear what you guys think of that AI use. But I just felt like that was like suddenly wrapped up. It wasn't really fleshed upon when the whole season was all about him finding out the truth about Miyagi. Yeah, I just felt like there was some unanswered questions really with that, or just conveniently, wrapped up really. So yeah, I think a few things should have been fleshed out a little bit more.
That's a good point. I completely forgot the Miyagi element because, yeah, we got a few of those flashbacks or the one scene near the end of these last few episodes that's kind of like in Danny's head where he's fighting alongside Miyagi. Man, a lot of franchises get a lot of blow for the uncanny valley element of like the deep fakes or the CGI like faces of like dead actors or young actors, and there really hasn't been a lot of negativity towards this show for that. But I do think those sequences were undercut for me a little bit by the weak visual effects that brought Pat Morita back to life. It felt, I don't know, it didn't feel right. Those Miyagi scenes were distracting to me. So that is another negative. I actually forgot to mention that. And I do think that the Danny losing his mind over like, why didn't you tell me? It's like, brother, relax.
Ben, why didn't you tell me, Ben?
Right. Exactly. It felt a little bit like that, but it was a little bit too much at times. But I do think, in the modern day, I've seen, Mike loves when I do this. I'll bring my favorite franchise into this. When the Peter Cushing was brought back to life with the CGI in Rogue One, there was so much hate for it. But I just rewatched Rogue One the other day, and whatever your thoughts on that movie, I think the special effects that brought him to life there look really good. Like they look pretty incredible. Like I could see that convincing some people who don't know that Peter Cushing has been dead for decades. You can tell it's CGI, especially by just with how far we've come now. But if you watch the Book of Boba Fett, and Mike, I'd love for you to honestly just look up this sequence, just because I know you're like super behind on Star Wars. But like, if you watch the Book of Boba Fett, there's a sequence with Luke, young Luke, and I mean the deep fake whatever CGI that they did to bring young Mark Hamill to life there was incredible. I mean, it looked seamless. So the technology is possible. And that was the one thing I told my wife Haley when we were watching. I was like, I wish that Netflix had just devoted the money to make those Miyagi scenes look crisp, where you're like, holy shit, this looks like Miyagi. Whereas instead it's like you're telling yourself in your mind, this is Miyagi, but then they would kind of darken him out where you can't like put some shadows on him, you can't see him, and the wig was just so obviously a wig, and he just so obviously not Miyagi, that it was a little distracting for me. So I didn't mean to go on so long there, but there's definitely something I want to add on to what you said. Rashad, what about you? Anything about this season that you didn't love, something that you thought was kind of like weak or that you wish was expanded upon more?
Well, real quick, I'm just gonna go back to the Miyagi thing. The Miyagi deep fake AI thing worked until he opened his mouth. Like, to me, I think if they would have kept it where he didn't speak, it would have been convincing, even though, like you said, it's AI, it's CG, but when he spoke, that's what really threw it off. We're like, ugh. But I think the wig thing, I want to give the benefit of the doubt and say that was blatant, because if you go and watch the Karate Kid sequels, especially, when it's Miyagi's stunt double, you can tell it's a damn stunt double, man.
Right.
Even though the person is short, but he's stocky, the wig is kind of like puffy and shit. Especially when he fights Terry Silver in 3, you're like, that's a stunt double. So I think they did that on purpose. Okay, I just want to say they did it on purpose. Or I think that was blatant what they did there. Yeah, what I wanted to see, I wish we could have got one scene with Kenny and Robbie because, I think people forget that Robbie took Kenny under his wing when he was getting bullied. Like, that was like Anakin and Ahsoka almost, you know what I'm saying? Like, he took him in, he trained him and made him the weapon that he became. And they had no scenes together, especially when Robbie was starting to doubt himself. Like, I thought that would have been the perfect opportunity where Robbie was getting his ass kicked by Axel and he came, he was on came to the sidelines. And you see Kenny in the background just like looking, like kind of stoic almost. And I'm like, damn, that could have been a perfect opportunity for him to say, hey, man, remember when I was down and out and I had nobody to go to and you came and you taught me strength? Something like that, kind of pump him up like with that as well. And, I feel like that was a missed opportunity. So, yeah, I want to see more of that. Other than that, I think everybody else, like, okay, yeah, Devin and Hawk, their characters already kind of wrapped up because Devin's character wrapped up when she came clean about what she did to Kenny. And she, came to grips with the fact that, okay, as bad as I want to be on this team, as bad as I want to be this badass, I'm just not there yet. And I feel like that's where her character kind of ended for now. You know what I'm saying? And even with Hawk, he won the All Valley. He had got the girl of his dreams. He's going to MIT with he's going to Caltech, I think, with Dimitri. His character wrapped up. So these last 5 episodes is really all about Miguel, Tori, Daniel, and Johnny. You know what I'm saying? And everybody else is just kind of like, I hate to say it, but like, fuck off. Okay, you can stand there and watch, but we have to wrap up with these characters. Okay, you guys are just go away. But yeah, if I could have got anything else, it would have been that, and yeah, that's about it. Like Terry Silver and Kreese, I was waiting for that to happen. Like, I think, if you remember, I called that. I said Kreese is gonna sacrifice himself to save Johnny, and he's gonna, take out Terry Silver. I predicted the motherfucker, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, yes, sir.
That's awesome, man. I will say to touch on the wig thing that you mentioned. In that fight between Kreese and Terry, there are some abysmal wigs in some of the shots. There's one scene in particular I laughed so hard where I had to pause it and go back, where they showed the back of Terry's head. It was like a quick cut, but Terry Silver, his hair is like pure white. But then, like, the wig that they had from behind for a moment was like dark gray. Like, they couldn't even get the color. And it just didn't even look like hair. Like, it looked like a hat. Like it was. There was some bad wig moments in this series.
Once again, that's a blatant call back to the 80s. Okay, if you go back and watch any 80s action movie, yeah, it's ripped right from there. Bad wigs, clear stunt double, big ass cheesy explosion.
Right.
Yeah, that was a homage to the 80s, man.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a way to get away with it for sure. Is to just say it's an homage to the 80s.
For sure.
What about you, Jason? Least favorite elements of the season? Anything that maybe you wish that would have expanded upon a little bit more?
Yeah, and I agree a lot with what Mike and Rashard are saying, especially Miyagi's storyline. Felt like it didn't go anywhere, really. I agree with all that. I think you just said that Kenny was really sidelined this last 5 episodes. I think that's the thing I thought of the most when we got to the end. I was like, what happened to Kenny? Like, he was such a big deal in the show, and it felt like he kind of came at the very end, and it's like, oh, there he is. On a lot of the characters, even LaRusso's son kind of was like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. He's a thing. But here's my thought. Here's something I thought. I did not, to be honest, I really didn't care for the Miguel Axel fight scene and for the championship. And I didn't really care that much about Miguel winning versus Axel. Axel was not that great of a villain character he was opposing, but I thought, obviously, the guy, and I can't remember his name, but the guy that died at the end of episode 10 from the...
Quan.
Yeah.
What's that?
Quan,
right?
Quan. That was a great villain character. I really liked that character, and he was a formidable opponent. And he just had that great look of like, you hate this guy. He had that snarkiness to him, whatever that, how after he beat you down, then he would say something very sarcastic, and he looked great in fight scenes. That was a great villain character. And I really wanted to see, and this is my thought, was like, I want to see Robbie win. Robbie has never won a tournament. He came in second twice, if I remember right. And Miguel won he won the All Valley, season 1 or whatever. And so I'm like, I didn't need Miguel to win. Like, I really want to see Robbie win. He hasn't had a win. So to me, that was my thing, was like, man, that would have been a better fight scene if it was Robbie versus Quan for the Sakai Championship. That would have been a much more interesting fight. Sorry, Rashad's having trouble again.
I guess he just vanished there on us.
Yeah, I thought that would have been a much better fight. I thought it would have been a much more interesting victory if Robbie won, in my opinion. And to see Robbie and Johnny, I guess father and son, I guess, kind of win, would have been much more emotionally impactful to me than just watching Miguel win again. That's my opinion on it, because I thought the Tori scene was way better and more emotionally impacted when she won hers. To me, that was a better storyline. So when they did Tori and then we did Miguel, I was like, wow, I wish we would have ended on the Tori storyline, because that was I thought, interesting, fight scene, interesting, just character arc. I don't know.
No, that's a good point. I can see, like, I was hoping that Robbie would be the finale fight for sure, at least, or one of them, because I was excited to see what they would do with him. I know you guys don't like Robbie, but it just felt like, kind of like what Jason was saying, it felt like his time had come to like kind of rise up. One thing that was interesting to me though was that he lost and he gets offered that opportunity, same as Tori, to go off for like, and who knows, maybe Miguel and Sam got the same opportunity, but I was surprised that we didn't have a scene where Miguel was like, you know what, I want to go to, the college, thanks for the opportunity, but they didn't even show him get the opportunity. So it makes me question whether or not he did. But I do agree with you there a bit, Jason, for sure. Even though Rashad does not.
Yes, you're disagreeing with me, Rashad.
Did y'all not hear me say that Miguel is the reincarnation of the Karate Kid? Miguel is the Karate Kid, not Robbie. Not Robbie. And listen, I like Robbie now. Okay, I was rooting for Robbie against Axel, but Miguel is the chosen one. Stop.
Yeah.
See, but then Robbie had like the parallel of like the leg damage, the like lying down there, like even Danny wanted to do the whole like Miyagi like healing powers thing. So it felt for me like a parallel of like Robbie kind of fits into that kind of same boat.
But here's the thing though. Here's the thing. That's Daniel's story. Okay, so Robbie getting his leg broken. This goes back to Daniel Miyagi-Do. This is not Miyagi-Do. This is Cobra Kai. All right. So the fact that he had to bow out gracefully, just like Miyagi-Do bowed out gracefully, that just goes to show Miyagi was never about tournaments and championships, but it's about karate. And that's why Daniel said, listen, this is not what Miyagi-Do is about, which takes it back to your favorite sequel, Perez, the third movie, where, remember, Miyagi didn't even want to train Daniel. He said, for tournament, I will not train you, but I will always train you as far as just training you, but for this, Miyagi cannot. And well, eventually he did, because it's a Karate Kid movie. Of course, he has to train him. but that just Robbie getting hurt was the end of Miyagi-Do as far as tournament competition. Now let's get to the real shit, and that's Cobra Kai, and that's what defeated Axel.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I will say I do think the way the show ended was near perfect. Like so I'm not mad. I thought that the fight between Miguel and Axel was great. And I love that he was like fearless in the fight. I will say too, something else none of us have mentioned, and I have to hear your guys' thoughts. How did you guys feel about the episode with like the VR goggle like training element? That for me was like, why of all the things in these last few episodes, it just felt like the weirdest inclusion.
Yeah.
I won't throw it to anybody in particular. Anybody want to chime in on that though?
It was silly,
It's silly,
but necessary. It was silly but necessary, and I say that because if not for that, Robbie and Miguel would not have done well against Axel at all. So because they did the whole simulation thing, that's how Robbie was able to hang with Axel until Axel adjusted. Then he had to go like really dig deep and, you know, do his thing. And then Miguel, if you remember in the beginning of that fight, Miguel was getting the best of Axel. He was fucking Axel up because he knew all of his moves. So silly, but necessary. Because if not, Axel would have wiped the floor with both of them easily twice on Sunday. Like he kicked Miguel so Miguel's head bounced off the mat where the headband came off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To where he had to like when Axel came like this, Miguel was like like mercy, you know. But yeah, it was goofy though. It was goofy, but necessary.
Yeah, I felt like it was. Yeah, I agree. I think goofy but necessary, like effective, because at the end of the day, like, you know, these students have trained with each other like for months, years now, so they know each other's styles. You know, like Miguel can't all of a sudden be like, "Oh, I'll be Axel style now," and, you know, go against me in a practice match, right? They need that VR and put the prompts and be like, right, Axel's going to do a punch, he's going to do a kick. So kind of got the rhythm as such. So I felt like it was effective, yeah. But I definitely agree also, I just want to throw in Jason's point. I wish Axel was a bit of a better villain than just in love with Sam. And that was his whole arc, you know. I felt that's a bit dumb, really. And then you're going to piss off an All Valley champion while doing that as well. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was the worst part, I think, of Axel, was the incredibly cringe romantic element. Like if they had written something in, which I don't think the story needed it, but if they had written something in where maybe Sam actually liked Axel, you know, maybe she actually did something dirty towards Miguel or something like that, which I don't think we needed it. But let's say she actually liked Axel, maybe they shared like a real romantic moment, then I would feel like, okay, then this guy like having this jealousy is like worth it. But like Sam was just like being nice to the guy. Like this was like the perfect example of like incel behavior of just some dude who just like is not reading the signs, brother. Like he's not. Sam was just being nice to him. He thought she wanted him, like let him into her pants, and then the whole rest. Once like that, the awkwardness kind of rose up from that. You know, she was like, no, you know, I have a boyfriend kind of deal. Like, you know, thanks, you know. And he just was, you know, standing across the mat like every time Miguel passed by, and it was just like, brother.
But Perez, you got to think about this too, Perez. Axel, from like Sensei Wolf said, since he was a baby, all he knows is this. Like from the moment he could walk, all he was taught was karate, how to fight, violence. The man showed no love or compassion or nothing. The man probably never even got a hug. Okay, this is Johnny and Kreese all over again. So even though for us we're like, dude, you simping like a motherfucker here, you know, like what are you doing? But from Axel's point of view, Axel's never been loved by anybody. So just that little gesture of Sam showing that she cared, that just was like, you know, that meant everything to him. Like for us, it's like, okay, you know, she was just being nice. But Axel's like, oh my God, like I love you. Like you actually like me. You actually showing that you care about what happens to me. And so that's what it was. But he's a machine. He's a lab experiment. He's Frankenstein's monster. He's Ivan Drago, but the karate version. He knows nothing but fighting. So just the littlest compassion, yo, he was hooked. He was whipped from that moment. You can't blame him for that.
Yeah, I guess it just felt like, brother, like at a certain point, you know, like especially as in these last few episodes, every time he was looking over at Sam and she's like hugging on Miguel and he's just standing there brooding in the corner like a little sad boy. I'm like, brother, like this is cringe. This is cringe. Like I think all of us as guys have been there. Somebody you had a crush on in school, started dating the other guy that like you don't see what she sees in the guy, whatever, bro. Like or like I know that the four of us have all dealt with that situation, so I get it, right? There's that moment you're looking across the room, just salty. But I think we've all come to a point, at a certain point, even in our own minds, that it's like, brother, I can't get hung up on this chick right anymore. She's over there with her boyfriend, and I'm looking all salty over here in the corner, letting it fuel my fire. Hell no! As if it's like, then he would like, you know, break Robbie's leg or like start whooping Miguel's ass, and then he's like, over to Sam, like it's like, brother, like what did you think?
He's not a normal dude, like, though.
Wow.
But Axel's not a normal dude. Like I say, he was raised different, man. He was raised in hate. That's all he knows. That's all he knows.
raised in cringe. That much was definitely clear for sure.
But there was one thing I wanted to ask you guys, bro, about before when Perez asked about like things we wish we saw a bit differently. I would have liked a bit more of an ending arc for Sensei Wolf, because he lost to Johnny Lawrence, but the whole time he got away with abusing his student, and then just like, oh, he's cool, like he's got off the hook, but like this whole time he battered Axel to the point of making him like this Drago, as Richard said. But then he gets off scot-free because he's like, oh well, Silver's not around anymore. But I'm just like, but you whipped Axel all these times. We saw the bruises on his back, and there's no repercussion of that. So I feel like there could have been a bit of a repercussion for that, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wish Axel would have snuffed him. I wish Axel would have, got a couple of sweet licks on him. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. He probably should have been on the boat with Terry and
No mercy.
Yeah, I expected, kind of like Rashad was saying earlier, for Kreese to kind of like step up to Terry in this last season. I did not expect that to lead to a boat explosion in the middle of the ocean.
like at the end of that character arc, yeah. I was like,
For me too, I just want to know how John got out there. I need the 30 seconds of how John got onto that boat. Like,
John Kreese is Batman, okay? John Kreese can appear anywhere he wants to, when he wants to, how he wants to. All right. Yeah, how'd you do that? Because I'm Batman. All right, enough said.
yeah,
no explanation needed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That killed me, man. Really quickly, I noticed that earlier we had some comments, so I figured I'd acknowledge them real quick. Sophia L popped in to say, I have a Cobra Kai shirt too, when Rashad was talking earlier. And also mentioned that she loved the first season and was dying to see if Kreese would be back. Yeah, that moment that Kreese comes back in the show initially is like, it's a moment. I mean, just like the way that they do it with all these characters, the way that they're able to bring Terry Silver back, like whenever they're able to bring these characters back proper, it's just like so fulfilling. Baking Chihuahua also popped in here to say, hello there, I'm new to this chat. Just wanted to let you know that I really like your reviews. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And yeah, man, it's like, I think for the most part, when it comes down to Cobra Kai, despite any gripes, I love that the four of us really just love this show, right? That this is the show that ultimately just sang to us, that ultimately like really pleased the fans. I don't know that I've met anybody who watches Cobra Kai and has not at least enjoyed it. I think it's been able to elevate the overall material. And I have a question that I want to ask you guys now. Something I was asking my wife is, would you like to see, and do you think we'll ever see, and anybody can chime in here, maybe a follow-up to Cobra Kai, maybe 20 years down the line or something, with Miguel and Robbie and stuff like that, as kind of like the older senseis? Would you guys want to see that, or do you think that these characters should end their storyline right here, or do you think we should see any of these characters in Karate Kid's Legends?
I think, I don't know, for me, I think it's a tough one, because like with Cobra Kai, as we've said, it's wrapped up pretty much perfectly, like a nice bow on the top. Johnny's got a happy ending, like Kreese and everyone else, stuff like that. So I think with Karate Kid Legends, I think it's all going to depend on how well that movie performs and the story it's got, and if people care about having Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio together, or actually it's a box office tank, right? Like, we don't know at this moment. I definitely think, by the way, Hilary Swank will probably show up in that one, because that's more of like a Daniel story than a Johnny story that we've been touching on. I think if it makes sense to do so, yeah, but I can't really see what realm would. Because do we really need a spin-off with the Binary Bros? Not really. Do we really need like a Miguel and Sam spin-off in Okinawa? Nah, not really. So yeah, I think for now, no. For me, I would like leave Cobra Kai as it is. It's perfect. Well, near enough perfect. It ended good. Let's do Karate Kid Legends. Maybe bring Johnny in for like a cameo appearance. Maybe, like them stopping by Cobra Kai. And, I'd say like Kenny there and LaRusso, and I think Devin. Oh, there was 3 students there anyway, the experienced students and the old beginners. Maybe stop by and, say like, oh, hey, this is Johnny Lawrence, like meet Jackie Chan, right? Like, like something like that could be cool, but I don't think they really need to now.
Oh, yeah, imagine a Jackie Chan, Johnny Lawrence scene where Jackie Chan comes in and says, hey, my Honda Sweet, quiet! You know, like I would love for Johnny to hit him with the quiet just one time. You know,
That'd be great.
Goodness. Oh,
What about you? What about you guys on the sequel series side of things?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I agree with Mike, man. I think just leave it how it is, man. It ended perfectly. Just leave it how it is. I mean, as far as spinoffs go, like only spinoff I would want to see is like a prequel to Miyagi's backstory, where him and Sato came up together and their fallout and his, you know, how when he took his journey to America and all the crazy stuff that happened. Because if you notice, when him and Daniel had that scene, you know, with Daniel with the Ben, why didn't you tell me? You know, if you notice so we got down to the alleged robbery where Miyagi stole some pearls or whatever, right? When we found out what happened with that, right? But if you notice, when he asked him about the Sakai Takai, he was like, you know, why don't you tell me that you killed somebody in the Sakai Takai? Miyagi just kind of looked down and was like, hey, your son, the answer, same place always, right here in the heart. Never answered the question.
Yeah.
Never, yo, you know what I'm saying? Yo, he got out of that shit slick as hell, man. Like, he thought about it like, I ain't telling him that shit. That your son, answer right here, where it always is. So I want to see that. I want to see him and Sato coming up, the trip to America, and then him competing in the Sakai Takai. So as far as spinoffs goes, that's probably the only one that I really want to see.
All right. What about you, Jason?
I mean, we all know we need to see Sensei Stingray take over Cobra. That's what we need. That's the future of Cobra Kai. Stingray. Right? Am I right? Okay.
Train the kids. Kind of like a School of Rock, but karate instead.
Yes,
I can see that.
But in seriousness, I really want to see a Dimitri and Hawk spinoff series in college. I said that for the last couple seasons. I love those two characters. Two of some of my favorite characters. I mean, so many great characters, but I love those two characters together. They're comedy gold, and I want to see more of them out of everybody, to be honest.
All right.
The Binary Brothers, Revenge of the Nerds kind of tone.
Yes.
You know?
I need some kind of Saved by the Bell college years kind of thing. Yeah.
Hey, do you know, if y'all notice, some of our sideline characters, there's one character that we have not mentioned in this whole hour. There's one key character that we have not mentioned, and that is Chosen.
Yes, Chosen.
Right.
Chosen was side. I mean, he ended up with Kim, which I'm glad because, you know, Kumiko broke his heart, you know what I'm saying? But yeah Chosen was kind of useless here. Right?
Agreed. Yeah, I think that they did nothing with him. He felt like the first part of the season, he's kind of there. Then the second part of the season, he's depressed and drunk. And then the third part of the season, you know, the fact that my biggest takeaway from him in this third part of the final season was Storage Wars. I don't know, man. I feel like they could have done more. There's some great moments with him, a couple lines of dialogue, right? But like, yeah, I don't know. How do you guys, the rest of you guys, feel about Chosen?
I've got to agree with Rashad. Yeah, I mean, don't get us wrong. It was really cool to see Jesse from Saved by the Bell. By the way, I was like, wow,
she still looks good too. Damn, Jesse aged very good, man. She could still get it. I crushed her back in the day when I was 10. You know, man, Liz, I would love to see her now. I mean, I'm a little older than she. I probably might need a little Viagra, but you know, shit, Jesse can still get it.
Twice on Sunday.
What? Shit, 3 times on Sunday. How good she looked. Damn.
Yeah, no, seeing her made me think back to the days that I would have my finger on last channel button, the return to the last channel button, as I was switching between HBO, where they were showing The Last Showgirl, and whatever I was watching, switching between SpongeBob and The Last Showgirl.
So your boss will walk in on you.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I love it, man. Yeah.
Funny. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I think a little bit wasted with Chosen in the last part. Yeah, like I don't even think we even needed the part with the Kimiko letter, because he already visited Kimiko. He already realized, like, look, she was with someone, or you know, that's fizzled out. You know, I think just we should have maybe had an extra scene or two with him and Sensei Kim, like when no one's around, talking about what's happened, where they're going to move on in the future. You know, I'm glad he got a nice redemption arc at the end, and he's gone towards Kim though.
Yeah,
For sure. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I love Chosen. He's another favorite. There's so many favorites of mine, but I love Chosen so much. He was definitely more comical, and I loved it. I loved the whole Storage Wars thing. And remember, he was helping Johnny find a house. Wasn't he watching a lot of some kind of reality show? That's how he knew how to go to house. Like, I love his reality shows. It's so funny. Yeah, and I'm glad. I was like, yeah, he needs to. I was like, he needs to end with that one girl. What did he say? Her name was Kim. Or
Sensei Kim. Yeah,
Sensei Kim. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, so I'm glad they had him show up, and I was like, oh, okay, good.
Right.
I want a story for Chosen, and I guess, and I loved what they did with that grandfather character. It was one of the most evil characters in the show, so I'm glad we got rid of him. I was like, that was a good actually story arc for that character. That her taking over her grandfather's, dojo, whatever you want to call it, as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still love Chosen though. But yeah.
Thanks.
Speaking on Kim's grandfather, though, the one thing that was just so distracting with around that character is like you couldn't have just casted an old guy. Like we had to have this like younger guy in makeup. Like it was so distracting that it made the sequences come off. Like if this was like, and I almost you know what? I'll give it the benefit of the doubt of kind of what Rashad was saying earlier. That was such a common thing you saw in the 80s was like the old man and like a young person in makeup in the 80s. But there were certain things that like did it really well. Like I still to this day think the best example of it, and maybe it's just my love for it, and I know Mike will probably roll his eyes, but is in Star Wars because Ian McDiarmid plays Palpatine in Return of the Jedi, and he looks like an old man in that movie. He looks old and gross. He was pretty young in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. And the fact that he was the perfect age when the prequels were made to play Palpatine before he gets all deformed, and that's the same actor who's played Palpatine this entire time, except for the original in Episode 5 for that brief moment, but they've already changed that. But the fact that for the first time you have, Palpatine on screen in the sixth one, like he looks like an old, wrinkly, nasty man, and like I think that's one of the best examples of how it was done. Whereas here was like it was just so distracting to me. It was like this. I kept just saying, why couldn't they just get an old guy?
But Perez, you hit it right on the head, though, man. If any of y'all watch the Shaw Brothers kung fu movies of like the late 70s, early 80s, that's all they did. They would take a young person, put him in some bad makeup with a bad wig. You could tell they're like 20-something years old playing a 100-year-old man, and they can get down. They get busy, They did that on purpose. They did that on purpose, and they like the Shaw Brothers kung fu movies with like one-on-one. Only way to become a master is you have to kill the master. So in order for Kim to take over the dojo, she had to kill the master and take it over. And that's perfect, kung fu theater. Come on, Perez, you know that shit, man. Stop.
I know. It wasn't something that ruined the show for me, but it was something that watching it, I was like, dude, this is just like it came off so goofy. It was distractingly goofy, even though I saw the homage it was trying to be. It wasn't something that ruined it for me at all, but it was just something that was like every time I saw a scene with that guy, I was like, let's get back to Johnny and Danny in the All Valley, because I wasn't really interested in the Kim storyline. It was integral. I wouldn't get rid of it, but it was like not what I was the most focused on. Like every time we went back over to that dojo, I was like, all right, whatever.
Well, you got to think, man. This whole show is just homage, or however you say homage, tomato. This whole show is homage to not only Karate Kid, Shaw Brothers Kung Fu Theater, Rocky, Star Wars. There's elements of Star Wars here where they took Robbie and pretty much made him Anakin. You know what I mean? Like just like the Rocky 3 references. Like, come on, man. When he was training on the beach. The montage, you know what I'm saying? Like everything about this show had 80s written all over it, man. I loved it. Right. I just wish, now, if I can say, if I would have ended the show, I think the perfect ending for this show would have been this shit right here.
Right.
Where you have one final shot of Dale and Johnny kind of, chopping it up. Yeah, man, remember when I caught you with that kick and that movie did the Sakai Takai was whatever. And then they have one last spar circling each other. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I taught you well. I think you taught me too good. Look and fly. Look out now, and they come in and do one last kick and freeze it. Yeah, Tiger. God damn, that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
That'd have been perfect.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, fair enough.
Yes.
So I am curious though. That now that we are still moving forward, we are still moving forward the franchise, and very soon too. Like obviously with the new Karate Kid movie, if there had to be any character from this show outside of Ralph Macchio that you would like to see be a supporting character in that movie alongside Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, even if they weren't a big part, who would you like to see? I think for me, it's got to be Johnny. If I was to take one of the kids, probably Miguel. Those are my two choices. What about you guys? Whoever wants to chime in, feel free to chime in.
I mean, I don't think they're going to throw any supporting actors in for the kid, like the new kid, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think they are too. This is more of a fan theory kind of thing.
Right. I don't know. See, for me, Hilary Swank. It makes sense because they've a teaser in the trailer that Jackie Chan's heard of Daniel LaRusso through Miyagi, right? So they've got to acknowledge at some point that she existed. She was another student of Daniel LaRusso's. And I don't know. I think it's to tie a nice bow on every cameo we got under the sun in Cobra Kai. That's the one person that did not get in. So yeah, I think it's got to be her. For me, it's got to be her. But if it was like a kid to help the new kid, yeah, Miguel.
But what about Jaden Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he might be living in the castle at this point. We don't know.
I took my pressure pill this morning.
Love the fact.
My pressure pill this morning.
I love the fact that in the trailer that Jackie Chan says to Ralph Macchio, he says, "This kid is what you were to Miyagi." I'm just thinking like Jaden Smith just whoop, just get out.
In the trash. All right, come on. Do you really want to see the kid that wore a damn castle on his face at the grave? Do you really want to see that dude in a Karate Kid movie? Nah.
Hey man,
no.
I would honestly be curious to see it. Do we need it? No. Would I watch it? Yes. Just to see what they would do. But Rashad, Jason, feel free, whoever wants to chime in. What about you? Who would you like to see appear in this movie that's part of the Karate Kid legacy, outside of who's already in it?
Go ahead, Jason. What you got, bro?
I mean, Johnny would be the obvious choice. I don't know if that's a safe choice to say, but I mean, yeah, it has to be Johnny if I had to pick somebody for sure. I was thinking Tori, but I don't know how Tori would fit in. But I love Tori too. So.
Well, it can't be Miguel because Miguel's too busy chasing Sam around Okinawa. So that's not going to happen. And Johnny, well, I feel like because Johnny's story wrapped up so perfectly here, I kind of feel like they would just kind of, I don't want to say deflate the epicness of what happened in Cobra Kai, but yeah, let Johnny raise his daughter to be a badass. Okay, Johnny just needs to be somewhere training Laura to be the badass that he was. Okay. Yeah. If anybody, okay, as far as helping the kid goes, shit, why not Kenny? I think I think out of everybody, Kenny is probably one of the most convincing as far as being a fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like besides the core three of Robbie, Miguel, and Hawk, like out of everybody else, I think Kenny is the most convincing of anybody as far as being a fighter goes, and plus his backstory of being a bullied kid. So. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Kenny making a appearance in the movie.
Nice. Do you guys think that this will be the last Karate Kid movie we see, or do you think that there's a possibility of more sequels with in this Legends timeline? Because I could see a world where we maybe have multiple films where there's two, they have Legends training a new kid in each movie or something maybe Johnny Lawrence shows up for another one in the future, or maybe a Hilary Swank and Johnny Lawrence movie. I don't know if we need that, but
listen,
what do you guys think?
All I know is that if we see Hilary Swank come in, right, and if Daniel has another Ben, why didn't you tell me moment, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Yeah.
Okay, stop. Dog, Miyagi is not Jesus, okay? Why didn't you tell me you had another student, Mr. Miyagi, with his voice cracking and shit? Dude, quit being a pussy, man. Golly. Damn, that's like finding out your dad freaking had other women besides your mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dad, how could you be with other women? Son, I wasn't always your dad, man. I was in the Navy, okay? You probably got some brothers and sisters you don't even know about. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
What was the question again?
Yeah, what was the question? I don't even know.
If you guys think that there will be follow-ups to this Legends movie.
Yeah, it depends on how good this movie does, I guess. Which
Yeah.
I don't know why it wouldn't do well. I haven't heard any. You know, some there's some movies like Marvel movies that come out, Star Wars movies out. There's a lot of skepticism. I don't know about this. If there's a lot of skepticism going in, because I'm excited for the new Karate Legends, whatever. I'd be interested. Yeah, if it does well in the box office, I mean, there could be future in that, I suppose. If it bombed, then it'd be gone. So we'll see, I guess. And the storyline, yeah, I don't know exactly what the whole storyline of that movie is. So I'm kind of interested in, if it leaves off. You're right. I guess if it leaves off potential, I guess, at the end, anything could happen. Yeah.
Well, I was just pulling it up on my phone. That's why I was on there. So I'm just looking at it in here. So apparently, this new movie is going to have $150 million budget, which is quite crazy for a Karate Kid movie.
Yeah.
That's a high budget for a movie that usually doesn't have like visual effects and stuff like that in a heavy way.
Yeah, I think because even the Jaden Smith Karate Kid movie, I don't think it had a big budget. I mean, it made a lot of money. I think that's the highest grossing Karate Kid movie out of all of them, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think the budget was that high for that one either. That's a lot of money.
That's way 150. It makes me wonder. Hilary Swank must be showing up for that budget. You know, like.
So, I mean, but like Jason said, you didn't hear anything. There's no stories about reshoots or bad press screenings or whatever. So there's no bad buzz on it. So we shall see.
Yeah. I mean, I think also the benefit that to go back on what Jason's saying is like the benefit this movie is going to have is that everyone who has just watched Cobra Kai is then gone back to the Karate Kid movies. This has now built a fandom of brand new fans. So all those fans are going to turn out for the movie, right? They're going to be like, "What, Daniel LaRusso in a movie? Like, this is following on from Cobra Kai, right?" So they're going to go there straight away. But yeah, I agree. I think there will be more movies. Yeah, if this does well enough, I can't see why there wouldn't be a brand new trilogy with like this kid growing up and maybe both of them as prodigies, or again get Johnny Lawrence in there at some point, Hilary Swank. Yeah, I would like to see more. Yeah, I've not got anything against that. Yeah.
I just thought of something. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, and I just thought of something real quick. Another thing I wish we could have seen was they would have revealed who Tori's dad was, because remember that was like an ongoing thing throughout the show, like who Tori's father was. And for me, I always had a theory. I thought it was going to be Dutch. I thought that Dutch was going to make an appearance somewhere, even though he said he was out of acting. But I just knew they was going to convince him, because they got everybody else to come back. Even the guy from 3 that Daniel beat up, they got him to come back only for Chris to kill him. So I was like, damn, I said, what if they bring back Dutch to be Tori's dad, which would be fitting, because like Tori, Dutch was, the guy was a hothead, man. That dude was a menace, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I thought that would have been a good touch, but unfortunately the actor, what's his name? Chad McQueen, passed away. You know what I'm saying? Along with Tommy, but yeah, I wish we could have got Tori's pops who he was.
Yeah, man. They never really answered the point where when the mum dies either. Because remember when everyone was speculating when Tori's mum dies, she's like holding her fist as if she's like trying to fight someone or like trying to hold on for dear. Like, I don't know, whatever. But it was kind of inclined at the time being like, oh, well, Kreese maybe stepped in there to set that up, And they just never really addressed that. They're like, oh, she's dead. Okay, cool. No problem.
Yeah, she just died with a closed fist. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are good points. I would have liked to have seen them expand that a little bit more. And yeah, I think it's a situation where I think that's part of why I feel that disappointment that Hilary Swank never showed up, is because they got so many people. Once they got the little girl who was up in the bell tower during the hurricane or whatever, the tornado, and I was like, dude, they're gonna get everybody now. They're gonna get the freaking sausage vendor that was in the background of what's because at this.
Yeah. What about did they ever get Freddie? Remember Freddie, the first kid that Daniel met when he came to in the first movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Where-
so. I don't think they,
We might
did they
not
bring
have.
him in.
You know what I'm talking about, right? There, the one where after
Yeah.
Dion got his ass whooped, they all turned it back to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
Freddie,
yeah.
where'd you find this guy? Let's go. Good guy.
Yeah, big shirt. Yeah.
I don't think that they brought him in. If they did, definitely leave a comment, somebody, and let us know. But
Yeah, it was probably one of those blink and you miss it, you know. And I'm glad they brought back Vidal too, the Johnny's opponent from the first
Yeah.
year. So they brought back
Right.
Daryl Vidal. That's what's up.
That's
Yeah.
right.
yeah, that was one of those instances where I was like, damn, we really do age. You know, like, when you see the flashback, I was like,
Old.
damn. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like no shade, we're all on that path, but it was like,
Mhm.
dude, like it was one of those moments where it's like 1 second you show me a flashback of somebody like so like youthful and in
Yeah.
shape, and then the
Right.
next scene is not that. It's like Jesus.
Yeah, and I think he was actually the guy that was doing the crane kick. Like he was Miyagi's stunt double. He created the crane kick. And I think
Right.
when they showed Miyagi doing the crane kick, you know, from the wide shot, like with
Yeah.
the bad wig, like that was him. That was Daryl Vidal.
On the post.
Gotcha.
The beach. Or,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah, on the beach. Yep, that was
Yeah,
that was
he was
Vidal.
a legit guy, wasn't he?
What's that?
He was a legit fighter. That guy.
Well, he was legit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he could wipe the mat with everybody.
Oh yeah, he would have.
Yeah. Just like Zara, man. Like I as much as I love that fight with her and Tori, but if you follow her Instagram, her name is Raina something, but that girl's legit. Like she's a
Legit,
13. Yeah, she's a 13-time Taekwondo champion, man.
I was
Hmm.
impressed.
4th degree black belt.
Damn.
She's pretty, but she will fuck you up.
Oh yeah. Like
Yeah, I
a
was gonna say I'm not surprised to hear that you follow her on Instagram.
All right. It's not about the booty, okay? It's the beauty, okay? I admire her for her martial arts skills, and that's it.
Of course.
Of course, Rashad.
I
We all
wasn't
know.
questioning that.
I mean, even Sam, like, though, as much as I can't stand Sam, but I'm like, I have to admit, I'm like, damn, Sam was looking good this season. Dude, I said, her woman weight done kicked in. You can tell she ain't no damn teenager. Sam grown for real. Yeah, her and Robbie just got engaged, man. I said, Lord, Robbie,
Yeah.
boy, you gonna be able to handle all that?
Funny enough, I thought it was hilarious. Looking, I saw like a picture that was going around that they like all stole each other's girls because like
Yeah.
Zolo Mariduena is with Hawk's girlfriend in real
Oh,
life.
really?
I think what I was
Yeah,
reading.
yeah.
Moon, yeah, he's
And
with
then,
Moon, yep.
Peyton List is with Jacob Bertrand, who plays Hawk.
Yeah,
And
yep.
then the guy who plays Robbie, Tanner Buchanan, is with Mary Mauser, who's
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just it must be interesting because those romantic dynamics were building up in the last few seasons, but they still
Right.
have to like kiss and act with
Yep.
these
Right.
other actors, you know.
Right.
So it made me
right.
wonder if there was any weirdness on
Yeah.
there because like you know it had just come out about the. I was a few days, you know, I was like maybe like a week behind on watching the episodes because I was in the UK celebrating this man's marriage over here. Where's my finger? This guy over here
Hey.
he just got married.
Yeah.
And while I was out there, I missed out on watching on Cobra Kai until I got back. So then I saw the announcement from Mary Mauser and Tanner Buchanan that they got engaged. And
Right.
I was then I'm watching the show, and then there's the scene near the end where Tori thinks she's gonna lose, and Robbie just comes up to say he loves her, and then he
Yeah.
kisses her, and then it cuts to a shot of Sam like looking at them, and I'm just thinking like there must be a little awkwardness there filming these scenes for sure.
Right.
I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, you know, I think they're all professionally know that. Okay, this is just
yeah, for
playing
sure,
a
for
part, but just don't get too touchy feely, okay?
Right.
Don't get because Robbie and Tori, they had a couple of hot scenes in the past, you know. So I'm pretty sure she's okay. We're not gonna repeat that again. Okay, that scene in the
Right.
car don't do that no more.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, guys, I don't know what else to fully say on this show. I think for the most part, it seems like we really loved it. We all had a great time with it. There's so much that little things that we would have liked to have seen, but for the most part, it seems like we all like really love the same things. Really quickly, I see Alden Tuttle on that conversation saying, "I could never be an actor." Yeah, man, I can only imagine. Like, I think about recently, the last time I thought about that, and I don't know if you guys at the bottom have seen this one. I know Mike did, and he was not a fan, but I thought about Keith Urban a lot when I went to go see Baby Girl. because I'm just watching Nicole Kidman just get absolutely fucking
Oh Lord.
sexually demeaned for the whole movie, and I'm just like, I just think of like, imagine she's an actress, she's done sex scenes before and
Right,
stuff like
right.
that. I will tell you that. I'll tell you what, that AMC intro played real different ahead of in front of Baby Girl. That AMC intro was very different.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know,
here stories
she's
feel
like-
big and amazing because here they are.
yeah,
AMC,
like,
we make movies better.
trust me, dude. I was thinking that, and then like the first scene of the movie, like not to spoil it for anybody drastically, but the first scene of the movie, she's making love to her husband, Antonio Banderas. You know, he busts his load and then falls asleep immediately. And then she goes into the next room and starts watching porn and starts masturbating. It was just like,
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
And then like throughout the course of the movie, like she's in this sexual relationship where the dude's having her like drink milk out of a bowl like a cat, and he's like
Oh my.
doing nasty things to
That's
her,
some
and like
50
you know,
Shades of Grey shit, man.
it was very much that. It was very much that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept thinking the whole time at the Keith Urban at the premiere, just sitting there like
Oh,
Yeah.
watching his work
like
in this movie.
Oh, I didn't know she was with Keith Urban.
yeah,
Yeah.
the singer. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, they've been together for a hot
Hmm.
minute. So I think she got together with him after she was with Tom Cruise for that while back in the day.
okay. Okay.
But yeah, like, you know, mind you, I'm sure Keith Urban is totally like used to this now at this point, you know, but I always think about that when I see somebody's wife or something getting completely not just, it's one thing to have a sexy scene where you can kind of, you know, there's some kissing, maybe like some obscured like nudity that like to us seems like they're naked, but they're probably wearing like a bikini or something at least. But when it's the scenes where it's just like
where they just getting down, yeah,
just getting down, it's like you just can't help but be like, God, their significant other must feel some kind of way to some degree.
Right,
watching
right.
this.
yeah, got to. It just on a human level, that's got to feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
You know, like on the ride home, be like, so wait, he was better than me, huh?
Well, especially because in that movie, she's so I know this is totally off topic, but in that movie, she's got like this you know, she's got this sexual fantasy on the side, and at a certain point, she like looks at Antonio Banderas' character when they're making love, and she's like, "You can't make me come," and it was just like, it's like Keith Urban thinking in his head, like, "I hope that's not me."
What? I mean, listen, they say women reach their sexual primes a lot later than dudes do, you know. So, you know, saying women, I think it's like 36 or whatever. That's when they reach their prime. Whereas dudes, we're like, you know, about 25 to 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So that just
Alden
that's just a
Tuttle ain't
heads up.
having none of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think you know the problem with marriages in Hollywood. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're on a human level that must bother you at some point.
Right.
It'd be so tough to do that. Like,
Yeah.
for me, I don't think I could do it. I'd be like a kiss on the cheek, maybe. You know, the whole movie. They're like, oh,
That's
we get
pushing it.
together.
Yeah, that's pushing it, right?
Right.
Make sure it's a peck. All right. Don't
little
move
peck.
just one like that.
Right.
That's funny.
All right. We went off tangent there, but
Yeah.
a big thanks to everybody who joined in watching this live today or watched it after the fact. Thank you so much for listening to us ramble. Thanks for dealing with some of the technical difficulties we had in there as well. It was a blast to talk about some Karate Kid, some Cobra Kai with Mike of Did You See That, who just got married. Everybody go congratulate this man. Go give his channel some love. Go subscribe, as well as Rashad G Reviews, who's got
Yes, sir.
tons of unfiltered content over on his channel. Where this
And I ain't
man will
married.
let it rip. He will
Ain't
do
never
his
get
thing
married.
over there. What'd you say?
I said, hey, I ain't married. Ain't never getting married.
There you go. We got complete polar opposites here, but two fantastic channels. And then Jason, the old millennial, as well, down in that corner over there. He's got tons of movie reviews, just like the rest of us, TV reviews, as well as music breakdowns and all these kind of cool things, touching on different pieces of media from different times. So big thanks to all of you guys for joining. I want to take a moment, of course, to let you guys plug anything you guys got coming out or any final things you want to say on Cobra Kai. Mike, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Thanks for the kind words, and thanks for having me on as well. Yeah, so today I'm actually going to get back in front of the camera and record a video. I'm going to record Captain America Brave New World review. Been meaning to get my thoughts out, but I've been busy for the past week and a half. So I got that. I've got an updated vlog to do for the Lego store in London that I want to see. So just like to kind of show around M&M store as well. So 2 videos. Then some cinema trips at the weekend. The Monkey, I'll be checking that one out. Heart Eyes, I'll be checking that out as well. I'm Still Here. We finally get in the UK, so I'm checking that out on Sunday. So that review. So it's going to be plenty of reviews coming.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on all of those movies, but specifically, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on I'm Still Here, of course, being like a big Oscar contender. But also I'd love to hear your thoughts on The Monkey, because you weren't a fan of Longlegs last year. And it's the same director, so I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. What about you, Rashad? What you got coming up?
Well, well, I'm going to see The Monkey as well, but probably not today, because I got to work after I leave here. But I'm definitely watching it this weekend, so I'll have a video for that. I did not know it was made by the same director as Longlegs. Now I'm like not excited about it because Longlegs put me to sleep. Yeah. Other than that, what I got coming up? I watched a few movies this week. I just didn't do reviews for them. I watched The Gorge, that Apple movie with was it Miles Teller and Anna Taylor-Joy? That's how you say her name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't inspire me enough to shoot a review for it. Like it had some good stuff in there. Like their chemistry was really good, but when it gets to the Gorge stuff, it kind of like, okay, this does belong on streaming. And what else did I watch? I watched the movie yesterday. It was a French crime movie called Night Call. I don't know if you ever heard of that one. Okay, check it out. I mean, decent until the end. The end pissed me off, where I said, "Fuck this movie." But it was a 4-star movie. It was a 4-star movie until the last 10 minutes, and I was like, "Man, this shit sucks." You know, I said, "Damn." But other than that, I don't really have nothing else coming up, man. Just the damn monkey. That's it. The monkey.
All right. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, so I guess I'm the old married man in the group. Because you two just got married, right? You, Anthony, just got married.
Right.
Yep.
So you guys are newlyweds. So I've been married for 8 years, so I've got
congratulations, man.
I've got the experience part of the group.
The veteran down there.
Need marriage advice? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh shit.
I don't have any advice, but anyways, so tomorrow on my channel, I'm doing top 10 albums of 1967 with my friends Nick and Briar. Are going to be on at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'll be live stream we're doing tomorrow. So today I'm going to do a video on the music of 1967. I'm going to do a video about kind of the big stuff that happened in 1967. And then yesterday I just put out a video going through Steven Spielberg, ranking all the Steven Spielberg movies. So I did 33 through 26 yesterday. And so be continuing doing that at some point. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It sounds like.
Oh, I forgot to mention, Prez. I did watch Better Man. I told you I watched Better Man, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was all right.
Yeah, he gave it 3 stars, like you, Mike. So as far as I'm concerned, you guys aren't my friends anymore. But it's
listen, if I was high or drunk, I probably would have liked it more. But the movie just felt like an acid trip, man. Like I'm like, dog, am I tripping or what am I like? I'm seeing skit monkeys and shit, and just crazy ass transitions, and like I'm like, this is Caesar, but a rock and roll Caesar. It was weird. It was I don't know, man. It wasn't bad though, bro. It was not a bad movie at all. It was like real trippy though. It was super trippy. Like you gotta be almost intoxicated, I think, to really like this movie.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but I can't wait for the 4K to drop so I can watch it again.
Okay.
I know it's available for rental and purchase now, but I'm waiting for the 4K.
Not long.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you finally saw it. It's one of those movies that just people need to see, and I'm glad you at least enjoyed it. So as far as my channel, I just dropped a review for The Monkey, the new Osgood Perkins film. Dropped that last night. Just dropped something else too. Oh, my review earlier this week for Paddington in Peru, the 3rd Paddington film, which Mike got to see months ago because it came out in the UK like in the late part of 2024. And it just came to the States. Like usually, maybe we're a couple weeks off or something, but every here and there's one of those releases that comes out in the States and you guys get it months later, or it's a movie that comes out in the UK super early and we get it months later. So that was the Paddington situation. I was even surprised when I went to the Paddington store in the UK at the Paddington station, that they had the 4K and the Blu-ray for the Paddington in Peru already there in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, it just hit theaters here in this last weekend here. So yeah, the Monkey just dropped a review, and then tonight, actually, I'm spending some time later on tonight with my pops. We're gonna go grab some dinner and check out Cleaner, The Cleaner. It's a new movie with Daisy Ridley that looks pretty much like, my dad said the same thing. It pretty much looks like Die Hard with Daisy Ridley at the center of it. So I'm gonna go check it out. Love Daisy Ridley. I'm hoping the movie's at least an enjoyable time. It doesn't look incredible, but I'll have a review out for that either late tonight or early tomorrow. And I'm also finishing up the last few episodes of the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which I was also behind on with my trip. It's on Disney Plus. It's the newest Spider-Man series that was meant to be a prequel to the MCU version of Spider-Man, but they decided to change it up and make it more of like an alternate timeline, multiverse, different Spider-Man, but it has moments that are parallel to what we saw in the MCU Spider-Man, but it's a different rendition. I'm about halfway through the series so far, so I still need to catch up on the last few episodes, and I'll probably get a video up for that in the weekend. And
I love that shit.
Plenty more. There's going to be tons of movies coming out in the coming weeks and months, and there will be no slowdown, I'm sure, for all 4 of our channels with content to come as we move deeper and deeper into 2025. You going to say something, Mike?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I was meant to say before, I've got a collaboration video coming up with my partner Emma, where we're going to talk about all the Twilight movies. So every night,
I'll never forget. I don't know if you guys have seen it, Mike and Jason. Some of my earliest videos that I ever watched of Rashad that made Rashad and I friends back in the day was he was doing each Twilight movie with his cousin. If you've never seen those videos, go back. They are hilarious. Rashad watching every Twilight movie was one of the funniest experiences. It's what made me fall. When I think about what made me fall in love with each of your guys' channels, when I think of Rashad, the Twilight series was one of those first, in the first days of meeting him, absolutely killed me. Your cousin absolutely killed me in those videos alongside, because his cousin loves the Twilight movies, and Rashad was just not having it. So if you guys want to laugh, go check out those videos. But that's awesome, Mike. Really excited. It's funny, when I saw you start to log them on Letterboxd, I had already been talking to Haley about what series I'm going to cover this year, and Twilight was amidst the 3 groups of series that I was thinking about doing. So I might be covering the Twilight films at some point later this year too. But I think I'm going to prioritize the Mission Impossible movies now first, ahead of the new final one, because I've never covered any of them on the channel. So, and I didn't even see the last 2 that came out. So I'm a little bit behind on the Mission Impossible.
You need to catch up, man.
I know. Every time a new one comes out, I'm like, oh, I'm going to catch up with Haley because she's never seen any of them. And then we'll go see it. And then I just never did. And then, in the time I've had this channel, 2 have come out, and I just haven't watched them. So yeah, I'm definitely going to rectify that situation soon. I think the last one I saw was the one after Ghost Protocol or something like that. So it's been a minute since I've watched new Mission Impossible. But either way, I'm looking forward to your Twilight videos. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Talking about one of the most influential series of all time.
Man,
Fuck out of here.
What happened, Mike? You get married and this happens? What?
God.
So what happens? Well, I am. Well, as we're talking right now, Emma's upstairs building the Lego Twilight. So
let me say something, Mike. If you rate Twilight above the Lost Boys, which you kind of took a shit on, dog, me and you gonna have some problems, Jack. Me and you gonna have some problems.
What did you give the Lost Boys?
I think he gave a 7. I think he gave a 7 out of 10. He said,
I don't know about the letterbox. Then let me check.
Well, I remember talking to you about it, man. You was not a fan of the Lost Boys, and that hurt my feelings.
Mike gave the Lost Boys a 3 stars, but he gave Twilight a 2.5 or something like that, I think.
2 different movies completely, though.
They're both with vampires, but one's sparkly, the other one's actually cool. All right, mind you, a sparkly vampire that doesn't even eat people. They eat meat to keep from eating people.
They don't eat meat, and there's the Twilight room. Nah.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Oh, I've got to mention this very quickly. I know this is going off topic. I know Perez trying to wrap this up. I've got to mention this.
It's all right.
So when those guys were over here at the UK for the wedding and stuff, we went to a place called Durham Cathedral. I took Ryan and Jess before I took Perez and Haley to see it, and part of this cathedral is where they shot Harry Potter, and me and Ryan could not stop laughing at Rashad still not knowing who the Half-Blood Prince is in Harry Potter.
Yo, that's the maddest I've ever seen Perez get, man. Yo, I'm watching the video with my son, and Perez is like, dude, this is the half, and you would play the clip. That's the Half-Blood Prince. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker mad at me.
And while Harry Potter's playing, he's playing board games.
Yeah. That's the best I've ever seen Perez get, man.
Dude, I watched that clip when you sent it to me, when you sent me your portion, I watched it before so I could react to it when I'm filming it. I'm like, oh, this man just didn't even watch, because I had watched Half-Blood Prince right before filming, and it literally the last 5 minutes of the movie is the character Snape literally going, I am the Half-Blood Prince. It's not even like it's alluded to mysteriously. It's so on the nose.
Listen, I know. I put it this way: the movie was watching me. I really wasn't watching the movie; it was watching me. I was doing almost everything but watching the movie. Mike, wait, why are you laughing? What are you laughing at, man?
Because even Ryan's partner was like, "How does he not know who the Half-Blood Prince is?" It's in the movie.
Yeah, I felt a little slow that day. Okay, I felt like short but slow that day. I did.
That's all right.
One of the greatest collabs I've ever seen.
The way I see it is I've disappointed Rashad with plenty of the movies he's invited me on for every here and there.
Right.
And, vice versa. I think the first time that Rashad ever really broke my heart with the collab we did was when I invited him on for one of my favorite Disney movies ever made, Holes, with Shia LaBeouf, and he hated it, bro. He just destroyed Holes the entire way through. And now there's apparently there's a Holes remake coming to Disney Plus, a series that's going to be a gender swap thing. It's going to be like a female character instead of Shia LaBeouf. I don't think we need it, but and speaking of remakes and what we've already been talking about, Harry Potter and Twilight are both getting TV show remakes where instead of each book being a movie like they were, each book is going to be a season. And so I'll definitely be tuning into both. I don't think we need them.
Yeah.
I think Twilight has the advantage to maybe be better than the movies for sure. Yeah. I don't think Harry Potter needs the remake at all. I think the Harry Potter movies are completely fine as they are. They should stay exactly how they are.
He starts shaking his head.
I will say this, I don't like either franchise, but Twilight was easier to follow than Harry Potter. I had a hard time. Harry Potter's the only movie series I've ever watched in my life where I felt dumb. I felt stupid, man. I'm like, how the hell did I graduate high school? Because everything just over my head. I'm like, I don't get the spells and the books and the wands and the Half-Blood Prince and the Goblet of Fire. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know nothing. I'm just like, that stupid look Homer gets when you try to explain something to him. Like when you use too many big words around Homer, and Homer just looks like, that's me. And I consider myself to be a halfway intelligent person. I think those movies.
I think you need to give them a rewatch someday, man. I think that you. I think you do, man. I think that for me, they only get better every time I watch them. But I mean,
Man, look, I'd rather eat cat shit with a knit needle than to watch those movies again.
Fair enough.
Man, I'd rather watch She-Hulk again than to watch that shit.
There's something.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your days, guys, to watch this live or watch it after the fact. And to my guests, thank you so much for joining me, guys. It's been a blast. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say. I look forward to the discourse. We only have a few months until we are all saying whether or not we love or hate Karate Kid Legends. I'm looking forward to checking that movie out, continuing on the Karate Kid franchise. It's nice to know that even though it's over, it's not entirely over. We still got there's still going to be a taste of the franchise coming up, and it looks like it's going to be a good fun time. So a big thanks to everybody watching. Any final words from you guys?
Quiet.
Perfect. That's the later, guys. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.